Hey everyone, and welcome to Connected Human Conversations where taboo won't do. My name is Nancy Deborah Barrows, and I am your host, and I thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with us here tonight. Connected Human Conversations is a show where I pick a topic, and it starts there, but it grows because of you. So please, in the comments, share your thoughts as often as you like, say hi to one another, get comfortable, and let's just have a really great connected human conversation. Tonight, I'm talking about TMS week 2. So if you weren't here last week, I'll rewind just quickly. I have decided after years of suffering through depression, with medication not working and having some highs but lots of lows, to try something new called transcranial magnetic stimulation. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's a magnet that goes on your head and interacts with your brain. Research has shown that it's helpful for a lot of things, but depression is one of the main ones. It is a rigorous schedule. It requires treatment Monday through Friday, 5 days a week for 36 sessions, which comes out to be about 7 weeks. This is about week 2. So I want to say hi to everybody before we jump in. Let's see who's here. I so appreciate, again, you being here. Please know that I will start the topic, but it's up to you guys to take it wherever feels important to you tonight. And I say hi to you, Tim Sohn. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. Let's see. I'm going to go through the comments here. You guys give me a second. Oh, Amber, hi. So good to see you. Wonderful. Thank you for taking the time, Willie J. Appreciate you being here. So many familiar faces. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know Brian Schulman, I surprised you with the hello right out the bat. But hi, Maria. Thank you for being back with us. You guys, some of you will be first time. Some of it will be you've been with us before. Dan Roth, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you showing up too. And Mary, thank you so much. I am always so appreciative that people choose to take their time, especially on a Sunday evening, to join in this conversation. Again, this is Connected Human Conversations, and I'm Nancy Deborah Barrows, and this is where taboo won't do. Mariella, the Greek enforcers in the house. Yes. So much love here. Thank you. Thank you all for joining and creating this brave space. And by brave space, I mean, we're all going to get vulnerable here. Safe space seems to have the connotation that one person gets vulnerable and we're going to be all there to support you. Whereas brave space, as I like to call it, is where we're all choosing to get vulnerable together and support one another. So getting back to TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation. It is used for other things. It is used for depression, pain, tinnitus, that ringing in the ears. It is used for obsessive compulsive disorders. There are a lot of applications to it, and there's more and more we're finding out every day. So I'm going to start with a video so that you can get an idea of what it looks like to be receiving TMS. So, what you're seeing there is week 2 of TMS. And as I said, the protocol is rigorous. It takes a rather large time commitment. It's kind of funny. Since starting the treatment, I feel like I have less time rather than more. And I've been taking time off from work to make sure that I have time to heal. My brain is healing and to make sure that I am taking care of myself first. So, TMS, as I mentioned, is transcranial magnetic stimulation. And first, I'm wondering how many people have heard of it. And if you are comfortable, sharing your experience with depression, whether it's you or a loved one, in the comments, please. This is, like I said, that brave space where you are welcome to share and you will be given that unconditional love and acceptance that you deserve. Hey, Paul. Well, you can comment. I see you. I see you. I see you. Tonight I spent most of today wanting to cancel this show, actually. Full full disclosure here, as you know, I like to be radiating real. It's been a rough week. In the video, you couldn't see, but some of the things that are happening now with TMS as we get into it, depending on where they place the magnet, it can cause some facial twitches. They don't hurt. They're just a little strange. And so I was trying to video that my eyebrow would be following the rhythm of what as I call it, the woodpecker that's on my head. He's not really there. It just sounds like he's there. And I had some tremors in my hands, but learning as I go. So when they're doing the depression area, there should be no movement in my extremities. The eyebrow is totally fine, but if it's movement in my extremities, it gives signals to the doctors that the magnet may be placed a little bit too far back and it's getting too close to my motor cortex. So you'll see pictures, thank you, Ryan Schulman, that the magnet is pretty close to the front of my head there so that it doesn't interfere with my motor cortex. Again, it doesn't hurt, but it's something that I didn't know. So if anyone is having this experience and you don't know, there's one thing to keep an eye on. Please let your people who are administering, doctors, aides, whoever's there, know that if you're having twitching in your hand so they can readjust the magnet. Another thing is they can readjust the magnet so it's less uncomfortable. This is not necessarily something you would do for fun. I wouldn't say it hurts. There are times it does hurt and it's uncomfortable, but for the most part, it's really, really bearable. But like I said, I wasn't going to be here tonight because I'm super tired and I'm struggling. And I thought, you know what, I'll just show up for a little bit because last week, it kind of felt like it was a little bit all about me, and that's not what this show is supposed to be like. So I'm here for at least a little bit, and I so appreciate the love and support. It's been a hell of a week. TMS 2, week 2, a lot like the first, except for I went back to work. So first week I took off and all I had to do was TMS. And even that was hard to do. The side effects being headaches, nausea, and fatigue. For me, the fatigue has been the hardest and it hits me for sure. So going back to work was definitely challenging. I was definitely challenging to go back to work and manage the fatigue and my mood and everything. And I noticed about halfway through the week, Wednesday, I was really tired, really, really tired. So trying to come up with ways to mediate all the side effects and do what needs to be done to get through this. I see your comments, you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so appreciative, and we'll go back through those in just a bit because I want to make sure I say hi to you and honor all of your thoughts that you're adding and the love and support that you are offering. It's an incredible community. If you are not connected to one another, please get connected. And today was one of those days where I had a lot of anxiety, and my depression is there. It's something I live with. It's something that I told myself I just have to learn to live with. So this journey with TMS brings me to a place where I've never been before, which is the possibility of living without depression. And I don't know who out there has experienced depression or has loved one who has experienced depression, but accepting it is one thing. Living with it is much harder than accepting it. And today I woke up with a lot of anxiety. And again, I don't know if you have experienced anxiety, but often I have anxiety about certain things. And when it's about something that I can name and identify, it's a lot easier for me to handle. But today it was sort of like free flowing anxiety. It was just all about everything everywhere. But I wanted to show up because I want people who are out there dealing with depression to know there are options and to have a place where they can speak about it. And I want to pause here and tell you, if your brain is lying to you and telling you that you do not matter and that no one will miss you, please, if you're in the United States, pick up a phone and dial 988. You will be anonymously connected with a qualified counselor. And if you are not in the US or you can't get to a phone, please go to your nearest emergency room. You do matter. All right, so I want to open it to you guys. I have stuff I can talk about, but is there anything that's on anyone's mind? Please drop it into the comments, because as I said, this show is really supposed to be about all of you. And thank you. It's, you know what, Dan, it was really hard to show up today. Really, really hard. I have been struggling with all sorts of things. I've been struggling with my eating. And many of you know that I have a history of an eating disorder. And I won't say that I'm anywhere close to that. It has nothing to do with my eating disorder. But what I'm having a difficult time doing is planning and putting energy into my food. And because of that, I'm eating pretty nutritiously void foods, which is not going to help my brain heal, and it's not going to help me with my energy. I have been struggling to shower. And I know that TMS, they have a success rate where people show significant, and they define that by their scales, significant shift in their depression. So 60% have a significant shift. That doesn't mean that some of this stuff isn't still going to be there, which is why while I'm doing this, I am creating other tools. I am doing a CBT program so that I have other tools to deal with the parts that maybe TMS can't completely get rid of. Who is this TMS anyway? Is your real name something with an M? Is this Tim Sohn? Are we talking about Tim Sohn? Maybe he's the guy. But I will admit, and for you guys, I showered today for the first time in 2 weeks. And for a lot of people, that's horrific and disgusting to hear. And I gotta say, it's not something I'm proud of. It's rather embarrassing, actually. But that's how bad my depression can get. And I know I'm not the only one who struggles with day-to-day things. And I want to put that out there so that if you're listening and you've been having difficulty with hygiene and brushing your teeth and showering or feeding yourself, know that you're not alone. It doesn't make you a freak or a lost cause. It just means you're depressed and you're struggling. Let's see. I saw Maria asked a question. It says, how long do you do that? Okay, so the TMS, so each session for each person is a little different because it depends on how many areas of your brain, which treatments you're getting. I am getting one for depression, which is in the front, and I'm also getting one for pain. Lots of people experience pain with depression, and I also have a leftover nerve injury that leaves me with some neuropathy. So I'm doing two. And when I started, it was 9 minutes in pain, not in pain, on my pain center, and 18 minutes for depression. Now, as you go through, they have the ability to tweak the protocol to fit what's happening for you. So if you're not getting as much of a result as they feel you should over time or that you're satisfied with, they can do something called priming. They can move the magnet. They can do all these different tweaks to these treatments to make sure that you're getting the most out of it. But it is for each day. By the time I get there, check in, get my treatment, and I'm out the door, it's usually at least an hour. And like I said, it's 5 days a week for 36 sessions. So it is a commitment. And it's one of the reasons a lot of people don't sign up for it. I know that at a different point in my life, I wouldn't have thought I can take the time off from work or that I would be able to do that for my, overdeveloped sense of responsibility to my job and my kids, that I would have had a very hard time putting myself first and saying, you know what, I'm going to leave early every day. I have the time, I'm going to do it. And the other thing I know is people are scared of it. And I get it. When I first heard about TMS and you're doing some magnetic thing to my brain, the first thing I thought of was ECT. And ECT, while it's evolved over the years, still holds some very negative connotations for people. Electroconvulsive shock therapy. The side effects of electroconvulsive shock therapy are far more impacting than TMS. There's no impact to your memory. There isn't necessarily downtime. the three, like I said, that people deal with most often are migraines or headaches, nausea, and fatigue. So they're very different from what people think of for ECT, but you put three letters together in a mental health illness form of treatment, and I know it scares a lot of people off. I have not tried some of the other alternatives like ketamine, and I don't know if anyone out there has. I would be curious to know that. And there's just a lot of options open to us. And I think the more that we can talk about things, the more information that's flowing, and the more we can open up about it and normalize not only the conversations, but the treatments, the more people who are going to be helped. And I saw Maria said she's scared seeing it. I know it's a little intimidating, and it's loud. It's like being in an MRI machine. They do give you earplugs, but it's pretty loud. But I have to tell you, it's all worth it for me. This is an option that I never thought I would have. The potential of relieving my symptoms of depression without medication, because medication never really worked for me. I saw that, let's see, Dan said, if it were anyone else, I would make a joke or two. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. But humor is a big part of what we need when we're at our lowest. I know for me, it's super important to be able to keep some things light. Even for me, joking about some of my depression symptoms, I stand by the shower and have this wonderful conversation with myself. You're going to get in, you're going to do this, you can do this. And I then bargain with myself, okay, you're going to get to sit down for 5 minutes and then you'll come back and do this. And at some point, I have to laugh at myself. I do. And it's not that I don't cry about the same things, but if I can't use a little bit of levity and keep a little bit of a sense of humor, then I'm really lost, which is one of the reasons I love showing up here, because people help you keep things in perspective. They help you remember who you are, and they help you step out of the ick for a little bit. Frank, it is in a lot of places covered by insurance. We talked about this last time. Thank you for bringing that up. Mine is covered completely by my insurance. In fact, there is no copay, which is incredible. When I was thinking about doing this, taking time off from work and what this was going to cost, that caused a lot of stress. But most insurances, because this is an FDA approved treatment for depression, will cover TMS to some extent. You can pay out of pocket, but it is rather prohibitive. Another way you can get access to it is by finding some research studies in your area. I met someone who is participating in a research study for a different kind of protocol. So she had a different protocol than I'm going through, but she said she couldn't get in without the research study. So if you're curious and you want to know, I would say call your insurance, see if they covered TMS, and ask around. You can do a search, Google search, TMS research studies with your zip code, see what's in your area. Hey, Mike, thank you. Thank you. It's so hard because I don't feel proud of myself. So I so appreciate that you are reflecting back to me what it feels like from the outside. And yes, Maria, depression, being sad, life being messy, it's part of, if you're doing it right, life gets messy, but depression is different. And that's where we start to get into that. It's really impacting your day-to-day life. And it's okay to say so. Please, please, please reach out to someone. Put it in social media. You'd be surprised how many people show up and how you feel so much less alone. And I saw the top hat. Yes, I saw the top hat comment, Mary. It's so funny because at one point we were joking with a couple of friends about, like, I looked a little bit like a bellboy or an elevator operator. Wasn't really entirely sure. But yeah, again, things to consider while you're going through this. Be an advocate for yourself, and your loved one. It's a crisis. It is. And honestly, we don't talk enough about people who support the people who are depressed and having mental health issues and crises. You guys saw in the video, I'm so lucky to have an in-person chaperone to many of my treatments. Oh, Frank. Okay, I'm going to stop right here because yes, That was a thought of mine too, especially if you're not getting that much relief from your meds. One of the requirements to be eligible for this is that you have tried at least 4 antidepressant medicines without a lot of relief or any relief. So if you're interested, I would say absolutely do the research. And Frank, you know how to get a hold of me. I'm happy to tell you what I know. I will say it's not necessarily much, but it's from what I have experienced firsthand. And I say hi to Katie J. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. I can't wait to see you back here on LinkedIn, but thank you for always finding us, no matter where we show up. And Bill Bradford, I love you more. Thank you. Great to see you. Right. See, you can joke, Dan. It's just fine. It's hard. You feel there is no hope, but there's hope in so many ways. And that's such an important thing, Maria. And I know we've all had our own experiences. And I know some of you, I know your experiences, others I don't. And if you'd like to share them, please do in the comments. I'm going to try and read that, Paul. It's teeny tiny on my screen. There you are. Okay. Definition of vulnerability is sharing things we don't want to share, haven't healed from yet. I hope the DMs you must get messages here. It does. Thank you. It does. Being thought of. Again, when I was talking earlier, if your brain is lying to you about not being wanted, not being missed, when you get those small reach outs, they're not small. And if your brain is lying to you and you're in the United States, please pick up a phone and dial 988. You will be anonymously connected with a qualified counselor. If you are not by a phone and you are not in the US and you're having thoughts of harming yourself, please go immediately to your nearest emergency room, because you do matter and you would be missed. I feel like there's a lot of great comments. I want to go through and look at some of these. If you guys... Thank you for the grace. I'm going to go through and find a couple of these. I saw Randy saying it feels all-encompassing if you can't figure out the trigger. Yes, and that's when we were talking about anxiety earlier. And I was saying that for me, when I have anxiety and I know it's about a specific thing, I can pull my tools out of my tool belt much more easily and contain that and get back down to a level of feeling much less anxious and nervous. But when it's free flowing as it was today, it's really hard for me to pinpoint it. And that makes me, it makes my brain go to places that are not true and are not helpful. So in those cases, I do still have to slow down and think about what I'm telling myself and to see what I can do to mitigate what's happening, because some of it is so automatic that I really have to be aware and stop the pattern. I'm so glad you showed up and are sharing. This is thank you, Amber. Thank you. Thank you. You are all warriors yourself. You are all people who show up, and not only show up, hello, and not only show up here for me in so many ways, but for one another. It's a beautiful thing in a beautiful community. And I wish to go back in time and I could have reached out. Oh, please, please, please do not. A couple of things as a person who's lived with depression her whole life. First of all, cattails. They are an absolute wonder for depression, I have to say. They definitely bring a smile. But I have lived with depression my whole life. And I will say, Bill, and to everyone else out there, I'm an Oscar-worthy actress in terms of showing up. When I do show up, even if I'm not feeling it, I can pull it together, for lack of a better word, and make it to everyone else. And this is something people with depression do. You don't see it. I can make it so you don't see it. And it's intentional. And I can do that through text as well and calls. So please, do not feel like you have not been here for me. You absolutely have. You all have. Even when you don't know that you're showing up for me or don't know that I'm depressed, you are, because I know that you're out there. And I know that you all hold me in your hearts. And I think, again, we sometimes don't know what to do when there's somebody we love who's depressed. We don't know what to do for them. And those little messages that don't seem big are really big. And it's okay if you miss one or two, because we have a whole community, a whole family that's out there willing to lift us up. And what I have learned is to sometimes tell one person where I'm at and give them permission to tell others. I would encourage you, if you could make it to that point of telling one person and giving them permission to let people who love you know that you are struggling and that you could use some support. And I know, Maria, you have learned so much. You've come so far, right? You are caring for a loved one, and it's not easy. And I love your perspective on that. And thank you, Mary. Yes, all of that coming at me. I'm looking here, you guys. Brian Schulman, maybe you can help me with some really good comments, and I'll try and see if I can actually read them. I'm going to make my sweet. We learn how to show up and seem more than okay while our insides are all over the place. I'm so grateful that you're able to allow yourself to just be. Randy, that resonates so deeply. While we've come so far with our opinions and beliefs around mental health and depression especially, it's still really hard to show up depressed. It is. It's hard because I care about the people around me and I don't want to make them feel bad or make them sad. It's hard because while it's more accepted, it's not something that everybody understands or is comfortable with. It's hard because I don't always want to be seen. The reality is I don't always want to be seen. I missed that one, Brian Schulman. If you could put that up, please. I will read it now that my screen is bigger. Sending love and light to each and every one of you. So happy to have you with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us and supporting. Yes, the support is immense, and thank you for supporting one another. This is a community that shows up here over and over again. I saw you, Erin Gibson. Hello, hello. Again, if there's anything, Brian Schulman, I'm just going to do a quick look in the comments. I so appreciate all of the grace with, I want to make sure that I don't miss you guys. Because you are here. And Tim, you are so very welcome. One of the reasons I wasn't going to do tonight's show, as I mentioned, is it felt like last week it was just me talking a lot about me. And it's not my comfort level. I want to be here for others. And if I can help one person, that was my thought ultimately. If I can get on here and one person hears this and it's good for them, and it helps them help themselves or someone else, or just feel a little less alone, then it's worth it. Albin, thank you for showing up. How is it in Rhode Island? Are you guys starting to get cold over there? Ooh. And I'm glad to be raising the awareness on this treatment, because someone who's suffered from depression her whole adult life and has really been someone who has been proactive. I didn't even know that this treatment existed. And as I said, people are scared of it. I know they are. I've talked to people who are. So if I can share with my experience what I've been through and how it's going for me, then I'm more than happy to do that. And thank you, Willie J. It requires courage. It requires a lot of energy, and it requires a lot of support. So thank you to all of you for everything that you do every day, not only for me, but for one another. And for the people who are in your world. Okay, Brian Schulman, are there any other comments or anything that I should see? I think we're going to play that video one more time. So if you've just tuned in, I'm talking about TMS, Transcranial Magnetic Stimulation, which is a treatment for depression that I am starting, or have started. I'm in week 2, and it is transcranial magnetic stimulation, about what it sounds like. You can see in that picture, I have a magnet on my head. It's kind of large. It sits on my head and it does its thing. And it kind of sounds like an MRI or feels a little bit like a woodpecker. It is uncomfortable. Very few treatments have been painful, but there has been some pain. It does not have the major side effects of things like ECT, electroconvulsive shock therapy, which I know terrifies people. And there have been so many advances in that area, but it just holds such a bad rap. And, TMS is not that. The biggest side effects for TMS are fatigue, nausea, and headaches. And the only one I've dealt with is fatigue. Hypnosis is another great treatment. Again, hypnosis, meditation, neurofeedback, biofeedback. There are so many options out there. There are even amino acids and things that we're learning more and more about how the brain works. Every day there are more and more options for people. And if we can talk about those and make them just as well known as medication and options for people who have tried so many things. Thank you, Maria, for bringing that up. So what happens is you're in a reclining chair. And there's a certain extent that they have you lean back and have your head in a certain position. And then you get to actually decide how you're going to be most comfortable, how high up you want your legs, how far back you want to lean within. It's actually kind of perfect for watching the TV that they have there for you. So, um, it's as comfortable as something like this could be when you have to sit still for a certain amount of time. How did I first hear about this? Frank, my psychiatrist. I talked to my psychiatrist. I had gotten to a point where I was talking to her about actually taking a leave from work. I was having such a hard time um, with my day to day, and um, I've never been in that place where I can't fake it or manage. I'm writing that down, Paul, because one of the things that for me with depression is memory. So I didn't remember. Thanks for the grace, everyone. But I was struggling to get to work every day, and I called my psychiatrist, and we had a session. And what I was actually asking her was if she would be willing to write me out of work for a while. I just didn't. I didn't know how I was going to continue doing it. And in that conversation, and she put it so beautifully because she knows I've tried so many things. She asked, would you allow me to refer you for TMS? And I had no idea what she was talking about. We had a really great conversation, and I was at a point where I knew I needed to do something I hadn't done before, because all the things that I'd done before were not working. They were just not working. And so that's how I found out about it. And I think it's kind of a guarded secret because there's a lot of people out there living with depression, and they aren't aware, if you're not seeing a psychiatrist or a therapist, that this treatment is out there. Thank you. Thank you. And Randy, I have to tell you, it's easy to be brave and beautiful when you have the support of other brave and beautiful humans. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Aaron Gibson, yes, I saw your comment. I didn't mean to freak Aaron out. I sent him one of these pictures, and I know I had told him I was in a program, but I don't think I had shared with him as much as I thought I had. And so, yeah, it can be scary. For sure. And that's one of the reasons I'm talking about it, because the more you know, and the more you can hear it from someone who's done it. I heard a lot from the doctors, and they really do their best. They do. But I think hearing it from someone who's done it is very different. I had the opportunity to speak to someone who was well ahead of me in treatment at one point, and that really did ease my mind quite a bit. So I'm here so that anything that I'm learning, anything I'm experiencing that might help someone else, well, it's mine to share and it's knowledge, but it becomes wisdom when I share it. Just like when you guys share what you're sharing in the comments, you are sharing pieces of yourself that are going to heal other people. I'm going to do, yes, there are so many options. And I will say, the fit that you have with your therapist or psychiatrist is so important. That is a crucial relationship. And you should really feel completely comfortable in there. I know, and I am guilty of it. There are a lot of people who go to therapy and lie because they're not completely comfortable, or omit entireties of their story and their day because they're not completely comfortable with the person that they're working with. And I just want to let you know that there are good fits out there. I have been so lucky to have had really good therapists and know what it's like to have a therapy room and session truly be yours. And I know a bunch of you have heard these stories, but just a quick one of how comfortable you should feel. The last therapist I was working with, I had an office across the street from a Dunkin' Donuts, and I was having a particularly shitty day. Sorry, LinkedIn. And so I went and I picked up a dozen donuts, and I waited in the waiting room, and my jaw was set, and I was pissed. I had my dozen donuts, that box in my hand. And when she opened the door, the first thing I said to her was, "You're going to eat these with me, bitch." And you know you're in the right place when that person responds without a beat saying, "Did you get chocolate?" And I did. So that's the kind of space that you should have. Thank you. Thank you. Um, that's the kind of space you should have. That's the kind of space that is out there. Now, I will say, finding those therapists is daunting, and it is hard, and it takes a lot of energy and commitment. And this is one of those places where when I started this TMS journey, I called 15 different therapists. I started by calling my insurance and getting the names and where I could find people that accepted the insurance. Then I went through that list and I tried to vet them through other websites and created a smaller list of people to call. And I called 15 people. I think 3 of them on their outgoing messages said they weren't accepting patients, so those were gone. 2 texted me to tell me that they were not accepting any new patients, so there's 5. And of the remaining 10, exactly 1 called me back. So while these relationships are out there, they can be very difficult to find. And let's face it, most of us are not reaching out to find a therapist when we're at our best. So one of the pieces of advice that I would share with anyone who's doing this, if you have someone who can help get through that process, make the calls, read through them so that you can step in and use your energy wisely when there's someone to have a conversation with to see if they are the one. It's really it can be a very daunting process, but there are people who want to help. There are people who love you, who see what's going on, and they just wish there was something they can do. So asking them and inviting them into helping you with your process is actually a gift for both of you. All right, if you just join us, my name is Nancy Barrows. This is Connected Human Conversations, the show where taboo won't do. We are talking about TMS, Transcranial magnetic stimulation, which is a treatment for depression that I have started. It is a rigorous program. It's 5 days a week for 36 sessions. There you go. You can see a little bit of what it's like. And just sharing my experience and inviting everybody to share theirs in this brave space where we're all going to get vulnerable together. I appreciate you all for sharing yourselves. I appreciate you all for showing up, and I appreciate you all for the support you give me and the love that you also give to one another. And do a quick check of the comments. If anyone has anything they want to share before I sign off here, please do. If you are not yet connected to one another, please get connected. If you're not yet connected to me, please reach out. I am going to, hi Frankie, good to see you. Remind you again, if your brain is lying to you and telling you that you do not matter and that you will not be missed, please, in the United States, pick up the phone and dial 988, and you will be connected with a qualified counselor anonymously. If you're not near your phone and you're not in the US, then please take yourself to the nearest emergency room. Keep yourself safe because you do matter and you will be missed. You're contributing to this world in ways you don't know. There are so many times that we are impacting people in a positive way that we never know about. So don't listen when your brain lies to you, and please take that first step. Call 988 if you're in the US, or go to your nearest emergency room. All right, everybody, I think that I'm going to wrap this up. Hang on, I just saw a big comment. Sometimes it's hard to let go, and it doesn't matter how kind or decent or beautiful the person listening is. We try living. Each person is individual. We have our own journey. No shame. 911 in Canada. Thank you, Mary. Yes, no shame. And Mary, I'm with you. I said there's times that I don't want to be seen. That's why I show up as if everything's fine. That's why I text people and tell them I have plans when I don't. That's why I love a text over a phone call. So the people who know me best aren't going to hear it in my voice. And people who are amazing and kind, yes, if you're reaching out to someone and they can't accept your help in that moment, please don't take it personally. Please don't think you've done anything wrong. And please don't give up. In my major depressive episodes, one of my biggest fears is because I can't reach out, because I'm not showing up, that people will give up on me. So reaching out and continuing to reach out is a beautiful gift that you can be giving to someone. And often people say to me like, oh, I'd have no idea that you were depressed when I told some coworkers that I was changing my schedule because I'd need to leave early every day for this treatment. It was sort of that, wow, for a lot of them, that they didn't know and I hadn't shared. So for those of you who find out someone's depressed, do not beat yourself up if you didn't know. Start there, start where you are, start supporting in the ways you can. Ask what they need, and if they don't know what they need, just show up. One of the greatest gifts you can give is letting them know they're seen, heard, loved, and valued, and letting them be. It's hard to be in the yuck. It really is. And it's really hard to be in the yuck with someone, but sometimes that is what is needed. And if you can do that, then you've done a huge thing. Again, it's a very difficult place to think. Yes. Let's share the week 1 video so you can see that if you're here. And thank you, Bill. I try. And, it hurts my heart when I have a hard time keeping in touch. So, I try to remember everybody, and that's important to me. And that makes my heart happy. And so for me, it's just knowing, again, just like I know about you, I know your heart. I know you're with me in spirit. And everything you do by being you makes a difference in someone's life. So that's TMS, the first 2 weeks. I would love for you guys, I am going to start wrapping up here, but put in the comments something you're proud of yourself for. I'm proud of myself for showering for the first time in 2 weeks. And if you're listening and you have been beating yourself up about some of your hygiene problems with depression, I'm here to tell you that I've just told nearly 1 billion people that I hadn't showered in 2 weeks. And the world is still spinning and nothing got worse and no one hates me. And I was showered with unconditional love and acceptance. I saw that Mary put, she's proud of herself for really listening. And that is such a gift. Thank you, Mary. Proud of yourself. Let's see. Proud of yourself for today. Yeah, sometimes when I tell people, it's not even that you have to have a good day. Just have a day. Have a day. So I thank you all. And I want to remind you as I wrap up that the road to recovery with depression can be a long one. It can be a long and arduous path, but I want to remind you that there is a path and there is an end, even though often while we're journeying, we can't see it. And it's hard to continue to have faith, that that is out there. I am grateful and proud to be someone who shares my story for someone who is not yet where I am, so that they know that there's more to come. And I'm sure for many of you, you're doing the same. And I so appreciate that. Thank you guys all. I so appreciate you. Thank you for joining Connected Human Conversations where taboo won't do. I hope you'll join me again next Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll keep talking about TMS and more about what's going on with everybody, because that's what this show is about. Creating brave space and having conversations where people can feel seen, heard, loved, and valued, and where a taboo won't do. Thank you.